Hello there. Welcome to part 4 of reviewing every Godzilla movie, and this video is Godzilla vs. Mothra. This was the first of the two Godzilla movies to release in 1964, which was Godzilla's 10-year anniversary. Both of these movies contain franchise-altering co-stars that would quickly become iconic to the Godzilla franchise, with both Mothra and King Ghidorah making their Godzilla debut. So without any further ado, let's get into this. Enjoy! The movie starts with a massive typhoon wreaking havoc on a coastal city, bringing up wreckage from the bottom of the sea. The next morning, a massive egg has washed up on the shore, as well as a mysterious shiny object. Two photographers find this object while photographing the egg, and contact their friend, Dr. Miura. He wants to study the egg, but Kumiyama, a happy show business agent, buys it off the local townspeople, since it's technically their property. His boss, Jiro Torahata, plans to make an amusement park with the egg being the main attraction. However, before he can start the planet, the guardians of the egg appear and tell him to leave it alone as it could bring destruction. He refuses, so the guardians instead turn to the photographers, who are much more willing to listen. They explain that the egg belongs to a kaiju named Mothra, who lived on Infant Island before she was enlarged by the hydrogen bomb tests. The photographers agree to stop the amusement park before it gets out of hand. Once they arrive to where the egg is being contained, they demand that Kumiyama release the egg and warn him of the consequences. He again ignores them, instead making them leave. Meanwhile, the doctor has tested the strange object and found that it has an alarming amount of radiation. Fearing the cause of this, the photographers travel back to the beach just in time to see Godzilla awaken out of the sand. He attacks a nearby factory and destroys Tokyo Tower for the second time. The photographers realize that the only way to defeat Godzilla is with Mothra's help, so they travel to Infant Island, where there's another uncomfortable racist stereotype. It's thankfully less extreme than the last film, but that really isn't saying much. They give a speech to the Guardians of Mothra, which convinces them to help stop Godzilla. While they travel to Japan, the military has devised a plan to stop Godzilla. They will use electrical power lines to electrocute him, because that has worked every time. Kumiyama is getting upset with his boss Jiro, as he believes he isn't getting paid enough for his efforts. This leads to a fight between them while Godzilla gets closer and closer to their location. He arrives just as Kumiyama is escaping, burying them both in the rubble. Godzilla has now arrived at the egg, and as he starts to attack it, Mothra shows up to stop her. He kills her. No, genuinely she dies. However, before Godzilla can destroy the egg, the military attacks him, luring him to their trap. After the power lines burn and Godzilla is nearing a port, the egg breaks, revealing not one, but two giant lava. They attack Godzilla, webbing him up and letting him tumble into the sea for the second time in a row. Poor guy. Unlike last episode, I don't have any extreme negative opinions on this film, except for the racist stereotypes. There's yet another funny character in this who I call the Egg Guy. He's a plot device to explain to the audience how the egg works and what could happen to it, but they base his entire personality on this. He's always eating an egg, and I do mean always. Another thing about this movie that I really enjoyed was the continuity. From Godzilla Rise Again, each movie has flowed into each other, and I hope that that's the same with Ghidorah, the three-headed monster. Mothra's design is really cool, even if her flying can be a bit jarring at times. I'm also enjoying these movies because they're making me appreciate the little references that totally went over my head when I watched some modern Godzilla movies for the first time. For example, did you know that in Godzilla X Kong The New Empire, Mothra's screech is the same as her screech in this movie? Some of you hardcore fans might have gotten that Easter egg. What about the tiny wooden model in Godzilla Minus One? It's in fact a reference to this tiny model dinosaur meant to symbolize Godzilla's location on the map, and it's from all the way back in Godzilla Raids Again. I'm not too keen on Godzilla's design, and if I'm honest, his design throughout the Showa era. Call that a hot take if you will, but I much prefer Godzilla's first design or his more feline design from Raids Again, but it might just be the poor lighting muddling most of his features. I mean, it works what the movies are going for, especially when taking on a more antagonistic role. But give me Heisei Goji over this any day. But, yeah, at this point I'm mostly just rambling. There's nothing inherently wrong with this movie, except for the racism, but there's no outstanding qualities either. For Toho's first crossover between two other characters, it's executed pretty well. I'm sure that this movie also fits into the Mothra mythos, and probably works as a direct sequel to both Godzilla and Mothra's movies. This is also the start of Toho making their creature features all in one world, which eventually leads into Destroy All Monsters. I'd definitely recommend watching this over King Kong vs. Godzilla for obvious reasons, and for a 10-year anniversary, it's setting some trends that other movies will follow later down the line. However, it's not as good as Ghidorah, the three-headed monster, which we'll be covering next week. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you all later. I don't know why I made you wait longer that time.